This is the Cortez City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 28th, 2024, and the time is 7:30 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order and ask you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Linda, can we have the roll call?
DeHaven.
Here.
Spruill.
Here.
Dobry.
Here.
Randall. Here. Lewis.
Here.
Kiefhofer. Medina.
Here. All right, Councilmember Kiefhofer was excused tonight, and we still have a quorum. And then do we have approval of the agenda as presented or any amendments?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by DeHaven.
Dobry.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Spruill.
Yes.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're moving on to number 2 on the agenda, the consent agenda. The listing under consent agenda is a group of items to be acted on with a single motion and vote. This agenda is designed to expedite the handling of limited routine matters by City Council. Either the public or a council member may request that an item may be removed from the consent agenda at the time prior to council's vote. I will ask if a citizen or council member wishes to have any specific item removed from the consent agenda for discussion after listing it. A, approval of the council special meeting / work session and agenda minutes for May 14th, 2024. B, approval of the expenditure list for May 28th, 2024. C, approval of a fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license for Good to Go Stores, LLC, DBA Good to Go, located at 717 South Broadway, Cortez. D, approval of a fermented malt beverage and wine liquor license for Good to Go Stores, LLC, DBA Good to Go, located at 302 West Main Street, Cortez. E, approval of a special event permit application for Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce to hold a business after-hours event on June 13th, 2024 from 4:30 to 7 p.m. on the premises of the Cortez Area Chamber of Commerce located at 20 West Main Street, Cortez. F, change in corporate structure, outdoor dining agreement, and renewal of an arts liquor license application for the Community Radio Project, Inc., DBA KSJD, located at 28 East Main Street, Cortez. And G, approval of a transfer of ownership application for A&S LLC, DBA Angels End Zone, located at 309 North Broadway, Cortez. Would anyone like to see something removed for discussion? All right, do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that council approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Lewis and seconded by Dobry.
Spruill.
Yes.
Randall. Yes. Lewis.
Aye.
DeHaven.
Aye.
Dobry.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye. All right, we're on number 3 now, public participation. There is no limit to the number of speakers, although public comment will be held to an overall time limit of 30 minutes. Speakers have a time limit of 3 minutes per person, may only speak once, and may not cede time to another commenter. Thank you, Linda. Thank you. All right, I'd like to invite up William Brock. Make sure your microphone is green and speak well into it, and then state your name and the area you live in. You don't have to give your actual address. We're going to stop asking for actual addresses.
Okay. My name is William Brock. I live in Cortez here in town. I am one of the board members for the Cortez Water Dragons, and I was asked to come here tonight from the board just to give you guys an update on our swim practice schedules and stuff like that. We have made some progress, so we have been able to get our swimmers into the water more. We started late, and then we ended up starting with just 2 days a week. We're able to get our more advanced kids up to 4 days a week now. 3 of those practice schedules are scheduled time, and then on Fridays, So we got 3 scheduled times out of the 5 requested, and then on Fridays, we've been invited to come in during public swim, so during the lap swim, and the public has been incredibly gracious and scooching over lanes and stuff like that. They are happy that we are there. So we've got, from what I've heard from my wife being a coach and stuff, we've got nothing but positive feedback from the coaches sneaking in there. As more lifeguards become available and hired-wise, we hope to get into our full 5 days a week practice schedule. Things that we're struggling with right now is that due to scheduling or whatever, we're not getting our practice schedules until maybe like Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes even Friday for the next week's practice, and that's not consistent. So they're always shifting around. Our coaches typically do have other jobs, so they have to manipulate their work schedule, and it's harder when you only have a couple days notice. So that's something we're struggling with right now. The outdoor swimming pool, you guys may have heard that the boiler is down, but it sounds like it should be up and running by the time our outdoor swim meet is due on June 7th, so we're happy to hear that. We're anxious and eager to get into the outdoor pool. So usually we're in around June, so we hope to get there at the full 5 days a week schedule if possible. I think it's just the short notice on the staffing and having that ever-changing scheduling that's the problem, but we are appreciative of the communication that has gone back and forth from council to the city, and we just hope that will continue. Thank you.
Great, thank you. We really appreciate the update and as we work through this. All right, do we have any other commenters? Sure.
Tim Webb, Dolores, Colorado. Thank you with the address thing, although I blew that 2 weeks ago, I guess. I already gave mine. I was just going to second what Mr. Brock said, was going to basically give the same update. So I'll kind of not say the same things as he did, but thank you for asking the questions. I came here 2 weeks ago and asked you to ask some questions. The root of the problem has not been addressed. Please keep asking those questions that I asked you 2 weeks to ask, and you were given a handout by one of the ladies here at that time that gave a lot of the details of what I spoke about. I really appreciate it if you would just please keep asking those questions. That's what I plea, or my plea tonight to you as the city council, because as I mentioned before, I have nowhere else to go. We have nowhere else to go. So thank you for asking those questions. Please continue, because the root of the issue is still there. However, I am thankful that I have 2 of my children here tonight. I have 2 other ones as well that are on the swim team, and at the end of the day, that's what it's about, is the children and getting them in the pool, and we are starting to see some pool time. However, we are left kind of hanging every week for some weird reason on, when and if even really we're going to practice the following week, and that's really not necessary. Email after email is not responded to. This weekend, for example, to give a little bit more detail, Friday before Memorial Day weekend, we finally got this week's practice schedule, and now we have to coordinate that with parents, our work schedules, our coaches, that sort of thing. It's pretty difficult to do, and now here we are on Tuesday, same boat, no response, no schedule, and we have a boiler issue, and our swim meet's coming up on June 6th. So if you can, again, just help us with that, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much, but at least we are doing some swimming. The kids are all happy to be in the water, and we appreciate your efforts and your service. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, would anyone like to come up for public comment? All right, we'll close that section of our meeting and we'll move on to 4 on our agenda, presentations. 4A is 2024 April financial statements. Presented by Kelly Koski, our finance director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packets this evening were the financial statements for April. There were just a couple of items to note. You might remember We did receive ARPA funding directly from the federal government in the amount of $2.19 million. When we received that funding, we decided that the best place that we could spend that would be at our airport. They already had federal dollars that were coming in. They were familiar with the reporting that was required for that, and they had shovel-ready projects. So the airport fund will have additional revenue of $249,211 in May. That's ARPA funding that we drew down to cover some of the expenses that we had for design of the parking lot remodel, the expansion of the parking lot, and then also design for the remodel of the terminal. You may have also heard that there was some talk about organizations that weren't able to obligate all of their funding before the end of 2024. Even though we're only able to report once a year because we received less than $10 million, I was able to obligate all of that funding so that we won't have the danger of any clawback of those funds at the end of the year. We also have until the end of 2026 to spend all of that funding. So we're on track to get a big chunk of that done over the summer. Also, the dispatch fund, that is the fund that we have a dispatch group of 11 agencies that we dispatch 911 calls for. We actually charge them a fee for the calls that we dispatch for them on an annual basis. And every year we bill those in January. Each one of those agencies actually pays their full annual amount in January. So it looks like they have a lot of revenue that's come in, but they won't have any additional for the rest of the year. The expenses will wind up so that we're pretty close to what we had budgeted for that year. Does anybody have any questions?
No, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to 5 on our agenda, public hearings. We have none tonight. 6 is unfinished business. We have none. So we're going to move on to number 7 on our agenda, new business. 7A is a 2024 vehicle bid item 2 revision presented by Rick Smith, our Director of General Services, for a little bit longer.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. At our last meeting held on May 14th, we awarded bid item 2 for 2 vehicles to Kazee Motors. That was the 2 3/4-ton 4-wheel drive with the utility bed on them. One for streets, public works, and the other one for the water department. When we issued the purchase order, they very quickly discovered Kazee's made an error on their bid, and they asked in writing to reject that bid. So protocol would go to the next lowest bidder, which in this case is True West for the vehicle. And basically we're asking City Council to re-award bid item 2 to True West. That change would still have the equipment fund $9,415 below budgeted amount, and the water fund would be $3,109. The total amount per vehicle would be $64,307 for a grand total of $128,614.
Rick, I've got a question for you. When I was looking at that True West bid, at the very top, it lists that vehicle as a 2,500 crew tradesman. But then as you go down further, it has model, and then it says 1,500 tradesman crew. So I'm just wondering, I would expect that you're probably requesting the 2,500.
It would be a 3/4 ton, which is a 20.
Yeah, so,
I probably put that in there wrong.
oh, okay,
Did
it just caught my eye.
Thank you.
And do we need to outfit these at all? Or they come in, is that part of the budget?
That includes the utility bed, which is the biggest piece. They have their own tools and stuff that they'll put in it, and then our shop puts on some of the decals and the unit number, but there's no real upfitting beyond the bid.
Okay. That's nice that this one is still under budget.
Yes.
I move that council rescind the award of bid item 2 to Cassie Motors and approve an award bid item 2 to True West for 2 3/4 ton 4x4 trucks with utility bids at its bid amount of $64,307.00, each for a total award of $128,614.00.
Second.
A motion made by DeHaven and seconded by Randall. Well, I heard them at the same time, but,
Was the same, oh, they were at the same time.
yeah.
Randall,
Aye.
Sobry,
Aye.
Haven,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Spruill,
Yes.
Medina.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move on to 7B on the agenda, lease of space at the service center to Visionary Communications LLC, presented by Rick Smith.
Thank you again, council. And Visionary Communications LLC has occupied space at the city service center, service room, and then on top of the roof for quite a while now with electronic equipment. This equipment includes the electronics to connect the city to the internet, point to point to the water plant. That's how we get connectivity to the water plant, and a redundant microwave link to Denver. The rooftop also serves some of the retail customers for Visionary on a radius around the city service center. Previously, the CCN non-exclusive service provider agreement allowed for them to have the space. And this 5-year lease agreement formalizes that, and since we got rid of all the rest of it to Clear Networks, this is kind of a remaining piece. City attorney has reviewed it. Him and the Visionary attorneys beat it up pretty good, and it's a pretty good lease. It also has an annual escalator in it so that the city can get a little more revenue.
So we're looking at about $920 a month.
Yes.
Great. I guess for clarification, when you say, previously the non-exclusive server provider agreement covered these, and now we're formalizing it?
I'm sorry.
We're doing this 5-year lease because previously this was covered by something else?
This is not a fiber lease. They're renting space to put their electronics there, if I'm following your question correctly.
So this is a new agreement, a new relationship?
When we got rid of the CCN, that agreement went away, and now they want to formalize it so that they have a right to be within the city service center, and also for the rooftop rent to put the antennas on.
Okay. Sorry.
And as I noted, the city currently uses that pipe to connect our water plant. That's the only way we can connect to clear out north to the water plant. So it's a point to point.
Okay. Thanks, Rick.
I move the council approve and authorize the city manager to sign the lease agreement to locate telecommunications equipment at the city by and between the city of Cortez and Visionary Communications LLC.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by Lewis.
Dobry,
Aye.
Randall, Lewis,
Aye.
Brule, DeHaven,
Aye.
Medina.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
As I understand, this is your last council meeting.
It sure is.
Well, thank you, Rick, for your dedication to the city.
Thank you for that. I'd also like to thank City Council and all the previous city councils, and working with them, city staff, city managers. Worked with a great bunch of people. It becomes family. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Rick. All right, we're going to move on to 7C on our agenda, appointments to the City of Cortez Advisory Boards and Commissions. Linda?
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. In front of you is the list of the appointments that were made at the last council meeting. We're just formalizing it tonight. I do know discussion was held on the Historic Preservation Board at the meeting a little differently, so hopefully I got it on here correctly. And if there's any changes that you need to make, please let us know. But if we could make this approval, we could have it on the record for the next 2 years. It'll be through the election that will be held in April 2026. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. It looks accurate to me.
That looks like what we discussed, so I'll make the motion. I move that council appoint the following council members to the city advisory boards and commissions. Councilmember Randall on the Golf Advisory and Cortez Historic Preservation Boards. Councilmember Lewis on the Golf Advisory Board. Councilmember Dobry on Mesa Verde Country Board. Mayor Pro Tem DeHaven on the Library Advisory Board. Councilmember Kefauver on the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Advisory Board. And Mayor Medina on the Arts Advisory Board.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by Randall.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Randall, Lewis,
Aye.
Brule,
Yes.
Medina.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to 7D, Resolution Number 9, Series 2024, presented by City Manager Drew Sanders.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening you have before you a resolution to basically allow the mayor to apply to be a board member with the Colorado Municipal League. For your information, the mayor was interested in this 2 years ago, was not accepted at this time. However, she has been very active and remains very active with CML. And I have actually heard Kevin Blommer, the executive director, he has expressed interest in having Mayor Medina serve on that board. But I think he's kind of like in my position where it's up to a board, not him. So, but either way, Mayor Medina would be a great representative for us, not only the city of Cortez, but Southwest Colorado, which is hugely important. As you all know, that we're not on the Front Range, and therefore we don't sometimes get the representation that we need. But Mayor Medina has been a great representative for us over the past several years, and I would recommend that the council permit her to make this application. Just because she's doing it doesn't necessarily mean she'll get it, but we certainly hope so this time.
Thank you, Drew.
Tell me how long of an appointment this is?
I believe it's either a 2 or 4. I'm actually not sure.
I think it's a 2-year.
Thought it's 2 years.
Yeah.
And we do have one representative from our area, Katie Sickle.
Yep, over in Bayfield.
Yeah, she's the Bayfield Town Administrator.
I move the council approve resolution number 9, series 2024, a resolution nominating Mayor Rachel Medina to serve on the executive board of the Colorado Municipal League.
Second.
Motion made by Spruill and seconded by Lewis.
DeHaven,
Aye.
Dobry,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Randall, Spruill,
Yes.
Medina.
Aye. All right, thank you all.
Council.
All right, we're going to move on to 8 on our agenda, draft resolutions and ordinances. We have none. So number 9 on our agenda is city attorney report.
No report.
Okay. Probably good we don't get reports from you. That means things are smooth. All right, 10 on our agenda is city manager report.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council again. My report for this term is as follows. The annual City Council retreat was held on Saturday, May 18th, 2024 in this room. City Councilor and staff disseminated a lot of information to come up with a good list of council priorities for the ensuing year. Secondly, the City of Cortez hosted the Regional Colorado Municipal League meeting on May 20th, and there were over 40 people in attendance throughout Region 9, which is basically Southwest Colorado, from CML. The evening began at the Colorado Welcome Center with Korea leading up that effort, and then they moved over to the Destination Grill for dinner. We want to thank our city clerk, Linda Smith, for all her hard work in coordinating the regional meeting and spotlighting the city of Cortez to our neighbors. I really hated to miss this. This will be the first one I have missed this year due to other circumstances, but we're always really proud when Cortez can be represented and showcased like this. And then third, I attended a presentation on May 14th regarding the Sun Bear Solar Project. You may have read about it in the newspaper or other places, which is slated for approximately between 3,800 and 4,200 acres on the Ute Mountain Ute tribal lands. Excuse me. Construction could begin as early as this year. The project has a potential influx of skilled labor to our area, which will provide some local jobs. Construction would require between 600 and 1,000 employees, and once operational, will employ between 10 and 50 full-time employees. This will likely have an impact upon our school and our housing situation within the city of Cortez while this is being built. The proposed timeline includes 2 to 4 years of site preparation and construction, and then the project is supposed to have a lifespan of 35 years, and then it'll be another 2 to 4 years to decommission and perform reclamation. This project, by the way, could generate enough energy to power 214,000 homes. And then lastly, we already spotlighted Rick Smith. That was actually on my plan to do, but thank you, council, for the review from that welling from you. But I'd also like just to add to that conversation, he's in his 36th year here at City of Cortez. So great accomplishment. I'm gonna really, really miss you, Rick. Thanks for all you've done. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to 11 on our agenda, City Council Committee Reports. 11A is the mayor's report on the workshop. We did not have a workshop tonight, so we'll move on to B, other board reports. We'll start with April. Do you have any board reports?
I do. I attended the Golf Advisory Committee meeting that was held on Friday, May 17, 2024. Bill Lewis was also in attendance. First item that comes to mind to me is the fact that we've had increasing tee times over the last 3 years. Each year has been successively more, so that's great turnout. Our golf course is getting quite a bit of good PR throughout the region. Tournaments, the average turnout has about stayed the same, but we're getting a larger percentage of out. The junior program is starting June the 3rd. Next down the list is parking lot has some substructure failure that's scheduled to be dealt with next year. Pro Shop building exterior is going to be restuccoed and painted, and that's going to be happening soon. They look like they might be needing a new truck in the future. That's out there. Probably the most significant issue, in my opinion, was that historically private cart use fees for the golf course have contributed to the upkeep of the cart paths. There's some question about how many years this has actually been ongoing, but there's some documentation that it's been going on for at least 8 years. During that time, some or all of the monies from that from those cart fees have been going towards that improvements in the form of improvements, maintenance, and new developments. The last project that happened was occurred on holes 13 and 14. So I think there's some general consensus, they'd like to see that money come back towards cart path improvement. And I believe that Creighton Wright is going to be discussing that later as time goes on, and that's about all that I have. Unless Bill has something you want to add?
No, you covered it well.
Thanks.
Yeah, I attended the second planning meeting for the South Broadway area planning work group. During this meeting, we went over a summary of points and issues people brought up during our first discussion, and then we broke out into breakout groups to discuss those and what sort of improvements or ideas that we had for the community in the South Broadway corridor. So the 8 priorities, these are kind of in, not necessarily in order, but in groups that connect them. But the first 2 are definitely the highest priorities from everyone in the room, and Councilmember Sproul will agree. And that's, improve the multimodal safety of that area and clean up the area. And then the next 3 are kind of overlapping, and that's make that like a gateway to the community and connect a connection corridor to the community. So whether connecting that to Hawkins and the north side, and just kind of making it a safe way to get around our community. And then beautifying the corridor. There was, I guess, a lot of comments on graffiti and billboards, which is those are a little bit outside of our study area, and that reminds me, I didn't start with the most important thing, that these came out of a community survey, which we got over 900 responses, which is incredible. I just think since we started doing these online surveys, that we've seen more and more response, and it's just mind-blowing to me that we had like almost 1,000 people take this quick survey. So anyway, continuing with the priorities, then another priority was supporting local and existing businesses, creating things to do, and creating public spaces. And then I would say in our groups, we had breakout groups, and then we came back together and talked about all of these things. Once again, just like safety was just brought up over and over again. Safety for pedestrians, bicyclists, kids, car drivers, everybody. And then a lot of people really want to see that area be a clear, welcome to Cortez, and showcase who we are and who our community is. And, people are excited at the opportunity to give input for that. And then another strong theme is people really want things to do, and particularly family-friendly things to do, like an indoor putt-putt rink, or batting cages, roller rink, all kinds of business ideas have been thrown out, but people would really like to see there be a family-friendly business over there that people could get to safely, and that showcased our community and who we are. So it's really an excellent mix of the public that's been participating in this, and I just really want to thank Rachel Marchbanks and Helen West for getting so many people to commit, because in just such a wide range, from people that live there to business owners, people new to town, people that have been here for generations. So it's been a really productive conversation. Yeah.
Dennis? Okay, and I do just want to recognize Councilmember Sproul, that even though he wasn't appointed to one of these boards tonight, he does dedicate his time as well to things outside of our meetings. He's on our dispatch advisory group. He's also volunteered for our community grants selection committee, and always steps up, so thanks, Dennis.
As well as been on the Land Use Code Committee.
Yes,
From
how could
the
I
very
forget that?
beginning.
All right. Okay, so then other items of business, number 12 on our agenda, we have none tonight. So 13 is our second public participation section. Do we have anyone who would like to get up for public comment? Sure. All right, make sure the microphone's on. Start with your name and the town you live in.
My name is Weston Webb. I'm from Dolores, Colorado, and I'm here on behalf of the swim team tonight. I started swimming 3 years ago. I started out in the second lowest group that we have, did okay, and then the next year, due to some unforeseen medical emergencies, I wasn't able to swim the next year. And then last year, I got involved again. And my coach, being the great man that he is, threw me in with the bigger kids, and so I had to learn to swim very, very quickly. But it was a great experience for me. It taught me dedication. We had to be there by like 6 in the morning every day to help set up for our lane lines and our flags and get ready for the day. We took off all the mats. We did most of the work, and it really taught us, commitment and being dedicated to our sport and just being committed to it, basically. And it really helped me as a kid because it got me involved with something. It gave me a great team. I made several lasting friendships that I still have to this day. I got back involved again this year, expecting to start on April 1st. As you know, we did not get to start on that date. And even though we are now in the water at 4 days a week like we'd like to, we are not at convenient times. The times that we have been given are just kind of fitted in still. And I know that you guys have done quite a bit of work so far, and I thank you for that, all that you've done. But I just like to ask you to keep digging into that and keep going further to prevent this from happening next year, so that next year we can get in the water on time, because a lot of our meets are earlier in the year, and we usually don't get to Cortez does not usually do too well at those meets due to us starting late. So I'd just like to ask you guys, please look in further and help our team grow. We have a lot of kids on this team. It teaches us great responsibility and dedication to our team, and I just like you guys to look in that further. Again, thank you for all that you've done already.
Thank you for getting up and sharing your thoughts with us. We appreciate it. All right, anyone else, or we'll close the public comment section? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Mayor, I move we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Dobry and seconded by DeHaven. No worries.
Ben?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Randall? Rule?
Yes.
Dobry?
Aye.
Medina?
Aye. All right, thank you all for coming tonight.